Okie dokie now. We're going to be picking back up here on Chapter 12 of Long Live the Pumpkin Queen. I do hope you enjoy the narration I'm providing so far. Please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I really do appreciate it. Now let us begin. I awake in a bed, white cotton sheets, autumn clouds painted in thin brush strokes on the ceiling above me. When did she fall asleep? How did she fall? You know what? Moving on. The room smells of lilac and dusty, unused spools of thread. I'm going to have to ask a seamstress about that one. Fabric folded and forgotten, left to the moths. I sit up and my head wobbles. The world finds me again. Oh, yep. The words find me again. The ones that sent my head tumbling, that made the room teeter and turn, everything suddenly dark. Where are your parents? You know, funny, I remember my parents telling me that, and I never blacked out. The same tipsy, inside out and upside down. Dizziness washes over me now, remembering the way she looked at me, like she knew me, like I was her and she was mine, like we belonged together. In some faraway forgotten past, in a dream, perhaps, a time that was never quite real, yet when she looked at me and spoke those words, some part of me wanted to believe her. I shake my head and survey the room. It's a perfectly square bedroom, except for a half-moon sitting nooked in the window overlooking the semi-dark town. Still not quite midnight, not quite day. A nightlight glowing near the door, shimmering at amber warmth, and a jewelry box sitting on the dresser near the closet. And in some distant cobweb corner of my mind, I can picture a tiny doll inside a yellow tutu ballerina that winds on a pedestal? Pedestal? This is supposed to be pedestal pirouette. I think it's pedestal. And a metallic tune that plays when the lid is open. I feel like a memory, like I've never seen this box before, known it, touched it. I shake my head, clearing away the clouded thoughts. Someone spent a childhood in this room, reading books in the half-moon nook, made wishes on pale starlights, and danced finger puppets figures along the wall, slept and dreamed and felt snug in their bed when someone who loved them tucked them in at night. Aw, that's adorable. But it certainly wasn't me, and yet still the room feels far away familiar, wrongly familiar, and also somehow impossibly right. A gentle knock raps against the bedroom door, and then it cracks open. Greta, the woman who touched my face with her soft fingertips, spokes her head through. Oh, yeah, spokes right through the window, through the opening. Sally, she asks quietly, carefully, "Are you awake?" "Yes," I answer, my voice a childlike whisper in my throat, caught and estranged. She steps into the room, hands rubbing together, eyes half moonlit, and she stares at me as if I might only be a dream. A thing she has wished for, but couldn't possibly be real. I think we gave you quite a shock, she said nervously, casting her eyes away like she doesn't know where to direct her gaze. Like I will vanish if she looks at me too long. Merely a bit of morning mist hovering above the swamp. Something that will break apart when the sunlight reaches me. But you have given us quite a shock too, appearing after all these years. I swing my leg over the edge of the bed, my head still seesawing. How is it? I stop myself, start again. I don't understand. I shake my head and look at Greta, searching the seams of her face. I'm afraid you can't be my parents, I tell her. It's impossible. A story that surely all jumbled up and spit out wrong. She blows out a long exhale as if she's been holding her breath for far too long. Years, decades maybe, and now she can finally breathe. For half a moment, I think she's going to sit on the edge of the bed beside me, touch her hand to my face again, like she did in the other room, but she seems to stop herself. Her eyes find me instead. You were young when you disappeared, she begins, unearthing a story I suspect she hasn't told in a very long time. Only 12, a few days after your birthday, actually, she paused. You were taken straight from this room, right out through the window. She walks to the window where a single candle burns, brightly yellow wax dripping down to the window sill. Her face reflecting back in the glass, uneven seams, and long cherry red hair, just like my own. But I never had a family, I tell her, shaking my head, still feeling unmoored, unmoored, like I might tip back, onto the floor if I try to stand. I wasn't born, I was created, built in a scientist's named Dr. Finkelstein in a lab. He invented me. Greta turns her face to me. Our butler, Edwin, saw a pale, skinny man steal you away into the forest that night. The man had small, pebble eyes and an oversized head. Is this your Dr. Finkelstein? My mouth flattens. Maybe, I think. Was he in a wheelchair, I ask? She fawns, then rakes her head. I don't think so. My mind races. It sounds like Dr. Finkelstein, but how could that be? That he wasn't in a wheelchair. Was he younger than? Still able to walk, to sneak into another realm and steal a girl straight from her room? Could Greta's story be true? We tried to look for you. We did, she continues. But the doorway at the grove of trees, the door to the other towns were blocked. On the other side, we couldn't pass through them. Our town is old, mostly forgotten, and our doorway in the other worlds has been overgrown, lost. She swallows, crossing her arms. We never saw you again after that night. A trail of tears leaked from her eyes, staining her cheekbones. I remember when I found the door to Dreamtown, how they had been overgrown vines tangled across the doorway. Maybe the door had been blocked on purpose by Dr. Finkelstein. Maybe he wanted to make sure the door was never found and ensured that no one from Dreamtown ever slipped through. Maybe some part of Greta's story is true. She walks over to the window, gazing past the curtains. Then she lifts up something from the windowsill, turning it in her hand. A glass mason jar, empty. Do you remember this? She asked, a small quirk at her side of her mouth, a memory. I shake my head. It's the jar where you used to put all of your angers and sads. Angers and sads, whatever. I feel my eyebrows lift, my leaves crackling too. Many questions clotted in my mind. When you were little, you said whenever you were angry or sad about something, you'd wish it into the jar, then seal the lid tight. She's smiling fully now, placing the jar back onto the windowsill. You always felt better afterwards. I like the way she looks in the window, muted, pale light across her stitched skin, and I want to believe her words, believe the stories of a childhood I might have had, but none of it feels quite right, quite like my life. I don't remember any of that, I answer, scanning the bedroom, looking for anything familiar to remind me who I might have been, who I might once been. But only the jewelry box flickers flickers in my memories. Something that might have belonged to me once. If I was 12 when I was taken, I would remember it all, wouldn't I? At least Greta comes to sit. At last, Greta comes to sit at the edge of the bed beside me, and the closeness of her is oddly comforting, maybe even familiar. Maybe she is the thing I remember in my mind, tugging me back to this room, to her. I don't know, she answers plainly. I don't know someone, why some memories are lost and others stick like mud inside us. But I remember holding you when you were only a day old. You were so small. Your patchwork seemed so new and unbroken. Albert kept telling me I need to let you sleep on your own, in your own crib, in your own whoops, room, but I can't bear it. I slept with you I slept with you beside me every night that first year. I named you Sally after my own grandmother, a woman who had our wide white eyes and who laughed like an owl hooting from the treetops. At this, she smiles, a tenderness in her eyes, lashes dripped low. I touch a hand to the stitching along my chest. Bones, a pronounced aching fluttering inside me that almost feels like a memory. Solid and real. I don't understand. I shake my head, my chest heavy again, the room tipping a little to the left, then right before I blink, and it centers itself. I was made in a lab, I mutter. An experiment, nothing more. No, she answered, placing her hand over mine, her voice like a cold winter breeze, as if she could undo what's already been done. You used to follow me out to the garden. She nodded her head, as touched by the memory was just as clear as if it happened yesterday. Crawling through the rain-wet soil, pulling up tulip buds, and chewing on nightshade carrots when you were teething. Oh my God. That doesn't sound safe. We baked crescent moon cookies before bedtime, and I taught you how to sew when you were only 2 years old. You took it quite well, always so precise with a needle and thread. You were mending your own seams before you could even walk. I want to believe her story that I was a girl with an ordinary childhood, sucking my fabric thumb and learning to walk and kissed on the forehead by parents who loved me more than anything. A girl who was wanted, a girl who was missed. Tears begin to break against my eyes, and I can't hold them back anymore. Greta pulls me into her arms, and the scent of her lint and warm cinnamon. It's not cinnamon. Emma honey tea is like sinking into a warm summery dream, like a memory, a tickle in my nose. Even this room, the soft midnight color, the curves of the mattress beneath me, where a girl once slept, feeling abnormally, unexceptionally like my own. The shape of me carved into the fabric of this bed, a room that remembers me, stretched into the fabric of my skull, is a word I can hear, one that echoes and grows louder the more I focus on it. Home. Maybe this was my room, my life. One I am afraid to let myself believe might be true. Another thought occurs to me. Perhaps I don't remember this life because Dr. Finkelstein made sure I wouldn't. The endless conjurings of herbs and potions and foul-smelling chemicals stored in his lab, countless books on all manner of dark things. Perhaps he plucked me from this room, stole me away to Halloween Town, then poisoned me and made me forget. Made me think I was simply a creation, a diagram on a lab wall brought to life by electrodes and wires, a girl born to parents in another world made of dreams. All of this I have believed in awful, wretched, unforgivable lie. But why would Dr. Finkelstein take me away? I pull myself away from Greta, who might be my mother, and her eyes. I try to see myself in a faraway past I had forgotten, but there is so much noise in my skull, threads knotting and fraying. A moment later, Albert appears in the doorway, knocking quietly, and carries a cup of steaming tea. It's wild mint, he says, stepping tenderlessly into the room as if it's a place he hasn't been in some time, a room filled with the ghosts of the daughter he lost. You loved mint tea when you were little, he added, placing the cup on the bedside table. I smile up at him. Thank you. Greta wipes the tears from her cheeks. You found your way back to us, she said softly. Albert touches her shoulder, and there are tears in his eyes, too. 1,000 sleepless nights when he thought he'd never see his daughter again, when he believed I was lost for good. We have so much time to make up, Greta said, her cheeks lifting a warm surfacing in her eyes. So many things to discuss, but hearing her words, the word time, sends a spark like a knife through my chest because I'm certain that, certain I've already wasted so much of it. I came here because something bad has happened in Halloween Town, I say quickly, needing to tell her everything, needing them to understand. Everyone is asleep in all the holiday towns, and it's my fault. I swallow down the pain, sob catching in the back of my throat, then panic. Finding me again, even in the quiet of this room. I need your help waking everyone up. I need your help to stop the Sandman. The seams along Greta's face temples tugged down just slightly, and her eyes flash to Albert. It's not that simple, she says. She stands up from the edge of the bed, then holds out her hands to me. Let us show you Dreamtown. It will help you understand. And that, my friends, is the end of Chapter 12. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff for me. It really does help my channel grow. I really do appreciate it. Thank you all so much for coming along with me on this ride, and have a beautiful night. Goodbye.